A lot of you are in one-sided relationships with the first humans that you met when you came on this earth, and you don't understand what people mean when they say, be there for yourself, reparent yourself, be your own friend, see yourself, because the people who were supposed to teach you all these things couldn't do that for you. So you have grown to accept one-sided relationships, and you don't even realize you're in one-sided relationships. This episode is not to shame you. This episode is to teach you how to undo that. Hello and welcome. If you're new here, my name is Chido Mpofu. I'm your personal emotional intelligence detective. Welcome to the Fit with Chido family, where we go beyond physical fitness, striving for mental and emotional fitness. If you haven't already, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell so that you get notifications. Today, we will be addressing the topic of reparenting yourself. What does it mean to reparent yourself? And how can we form a healthy relationship with ourselves? If you had abusive parents, neglectful parents, or emotionally absent parents, there is something your parents didn't do for you, and that reflects in the way you treat yourself when you grow up. There are 3 things that parents should have. Good parents. Not all parents are good, but the good parents all do this, whether subconsciously or consciously. The first thing is they create safety. They create emotional safety, physical safety, psychological safety. They create this safety with physical things, making sure you live in a safe place, making sure they stand up for you if someone tries to physically harm you. Emotionally, they watch how they speak to you, they breathe life into you when they speak with you, and they don't allow other people to abuse you under their watch. This also means you can go to them and talk about anything without being judged. Psychological safety allows you to feel safe, to feel like you can be yourself or share anything that's going on in your life. A lot of parents think they are offering their children safety when they're actually not. A lot of parents tend to focus on the physical and they neglect the emotional and the psychological. And that can lead to emotional wounds, feeling unsafe within oneself because you never had that emotional or psychological safety. That can also cause problems for you. Other parents are absolutely horrible. They actually go out of their way to make you feel unsafe, to put you in danger, either by hitting you, being the actual physical abuser, or watching whilst other people are abusing you. The second thing that good parents do is they see you. For you to meet all of your child's needs, you have to see them. You have to see them as they are. You have to see them for you to hear them when they come to you and say, I have this problem. I need help with this. I am sick. I'm not feeling well. Another aspect of this seeing is seeing your humanity. You have a lot of parents, especially if they are narcissistic, who don't see you as your own individual human. So whenever your needs conflict with their idea of you being an extension of them, or you being an object, an accessory in their reality, they're not going to see it and they're not going to meet the need. This is how you have parents who won't take you to the hospital when you're ill if it's going against what they need you to be doing at that time, or because they just don't care. The last thing that good parents do is they accept. They accept who you are. For them to accept who you are, they have to already see you, and they also have to be creating safety. They accept you for who you are. They want to understand you. They know you are your own person, and they don't feel the need to control you or tell you how to live your life. These 3 things feed into each other. So if you had a parent that gave you one and not the others, unfortunately, you're still deficient in all of them. Because if they chose to create safety, but they don't see you, they can't really create all of the 3 types of safety that I mentioned. Now let's talk about how this affects you and how you can start to undo this. I want to give you the example of illness. If you're not feeling well and you had neglectful parents, the type of parents who, if you're sick, they're not going to take you to the doctor until you're at the absolute worst, until your illness is at its worst, until you're just about to reach a point of no return in terms of ever recovering. Then they take you to the hospital. Then they get you treated. People who go through this type of experience are the types of people who won't be able to ask for help until they're at a point where everything's about to fall apart. They're about to lose everything. And they will see patterns of this in their life, of struggling to get help, struggling to meet their needs, or procrastinating on fixing issues in their own life until they get to a point where they feel they can't take it anymore. So for you to undo something like this, you first of all need to identify when you have habits that mirror your experience when you were growing up. You have to identify all of them, because if you don't recognize them and you even parade them and say, I don't like asking for help, I don't do this, I don't go to the doctor until I'm sick, and you don't realize that pattern is actually coming from neglect or your parents not taking you seriously when you were younger, you can't reparent yourself. So in a situation like that, how can you undo it? It means once you see the pattern, the next time something is wrong, you need to exercise discipline and do something about it. This is not going to be easy because this was being ingrained in you for up to 18 years. So you're going to actively watch your behaviors. And when you see a pattern at the beginning, you're going to say, I'm going to do something about it right now. I'm not going to procrastinate on this. I'm going to exercise my discipline and deal with this. I am not going to play or sleep on myself. I am not going to ignore myself. This will be a combination of you thinking through what you're doing, you talking to yourself, you telling yourself, how am I going to do things differently from here on? So for you to reparent yourself, it means whenever you're sick, even if you think it's minor, do something about it. You will show yourself that you're worth checking on. You deserve to have comfort. You deserve to be well. It's okay to make a big fuss of something that seems small. It's okay for you to see your own vulnerability and illness and do something about it in the very beginning. A lot of your issues turn into patterns, and the good thing about patterns is you get so many instances where you can look back and you can see, oh, that's the pattern. But you have to be willing to see the pattern, and you have to be willing to do something about it. You have to be willing to confront yourself, to confront what you have learned you deserve, and to tell yourself you deserve better. Here's another quick example. If you were never listened to, maybe you developed into this person who is private, does not let people in, does not share. Or when you share, you're closed off, you don't share much. What you actually don't realize is if you at the back of your head think no one could possibly want to listen to me, people can sense it. So when you're talking, they might not sense it as this person thinks they're not worth listening to. They might sense it as this person is hard to talk to, or they don't want to share anything. So let me now focus on someone else. And that behavior, right, will then reinforce what you were thinking in your head when they after you've just said like an abrupt answer, they decide to ask someone else something instead of asking you more questions. So whatever thoughts you have due to the conditioning will affect how you actually express yourself. Other people see it and they react to it. They might not understand what the pattern is or what it means, but when they react to it, how you read it is going to reinforce that pattern. So when you're in situations where you feel like people are not going to listen to me because they have never listened to me, you need to start off by asking yourself, where's this coming from? People generally don't have an issue with listening to you when they care about you. Like you can talk and talk and talk. If someone really cares about you, they will make time and they will be patient with you. So part of confronting that pattern would also involve asking yourself, am I surrounding myself with people who don't listen to me? Therefore, I keep feeling like I'm not worth listening to. If the answer is yes, it's time for you to form new relationships with people who actually want to hear you, people who actually find you interesting, people who are happy when they see you. This also requires some level of discipline and honesty. You have to be honest with yourself that, do I have the healthiest of friends? And how can I be more present? How can I be open and let my friends in? How can I stop shutting other people out? When you reparent yourself, you need to understand that you have to provide the 3 things that good parents provide children in order for you to undo a lot of things. So you need to provide safety, you need to see yourself, and you need to accept yourself. Providing safety, there's the physical side, live in a safe place, only surround yourself with safe people. The emotional side of it, create emotional safety through the networks you have. If you have toxic friends, it's time for you to move out of that situation. Psychological safety, same thing. Do you feel safe to speak up? Do you feel psychological air when you talk about the people who are around you? If the answer is no, you need to remove yourself from those situations, just like a parent would remove their child if they tell them this person is abusing me in this way. The second thing is you need to see yourself. To see yourself, you're going to need to spend some time by yourself, understanding who are you, what have I gone through, what have I learned, what patterns do I have, how do I feel about myself, how do I feel about my social network, how do I feel about my friends, my family, my job, what do I enjoy doing. You really need to understand these things. It might seem trivial, it might seem like it's easy, but you'll be surprised how many people walk around not knowing themselves. How many people walk around and they've never seen themselves. They've never seen who they are for what they are. This is also time for you to understand, what are my values and principles? Where do I want to go in life? What are my hopes and dreams? And this is not a one-day event. You don't sit down and then suddenly you now know everything, you now see everything. This is something you have to commit to every single day for the rest of your life. If you want to get into journaling, you can get into journaling. If you want to get into therapy, get into therapy. There's so many things you can do, or you can just sit with your thoughts and just listen to what you're thinking about. Listen to what you're saying. If you want to record videos, that's something I used to do a lot when I was in college. Sometimes I would be working and I would turn my camera on and just continue working. And sometimes I would think out loud, or I would actually record a video where I'm like, today is this day, this is Chido from such a time and such a day. Hi, past me, hi, future me. This is how I'm feeling right now. And sometimes I go back and watch these videos, and it's really interesting to see. So that's something you could do, like a video diary. When I just record a video when I'm working, I then rewatch it just to see my facial expressions as I was working, like micro expressions as I was thinking, things like that. You learn a lot about yourself by doing things that seem silly, but are actually helping you a lot. The last thing you need to do is accept yourself. If you don't see yourself, it'll be hard for you to accept. Acceptance means you see the wonderful things and the points of improvement. Some people like to call them bad things. I call them points of improvement, because you can always do better. You can always work on your negative traits and be a better person. But it doesn't mean you can't accept the negative traits even if you plan to work on them. Accept the good and the bad. Accept the past. This is also not a day thing. One day of journaling is not going to help. You have to talk to yourself for a very long time, telling yourself, it's okay, I made this mistake. It's okay, such and such happened. This is the lesson I learned. This is what I'm going to do next. This is how I'm going to protect myself, or this is a habit I'm going to stop doing. And just accept who you are and understand that if you knew better, you would have done better. I now like to always mention my assumptions, because I've noticed that just like people are trying to work on themselves, abusers are also listening to content and then using that content to abuse people. The assumption I made in this episode is that one, you're not an abusive parent. Two, you're not an abuser. So if you're abusing people, that's not a negative trait that you should be accepting. That's a negative trait that you need to be fixing, because you're harming people. You're the reason people have to go on this self-healing journey. I've decided going forward, I will always mention assumptions like these. People should start stating their assumptions. I was describing reactive abuse in one of my TikTok series. And then as I was describing it, I had this thought. If an abuser is listening to this and hearing a definition of reactive abuse, because at the time I hadn't said this is reactive abuse, they are going to twist it and say them being abusive is reactive abuse. The victim is pushing them to explode. And I'll just make it a point to always mention this content is not for you if you're an abuser. I am talking to people who have been victimized, who are trying to build their life up, their emotional and mental health, and be better, and to move forward away from what they went through. Thank you so much for joining me. And I hope you can take something from this episode that you can incorporate in your daily life and work on yourself, move away from whatever negativity you may have experienced, reparent yourself, create safety, see yourself, and accept yourself. Next week, we're going to be talking about my favorite topic. I am not going to say it here. I am going to keep it a surprise, but I'm just going to say it's my favorite topic. So a lot of you who follow me on TikTok will know exactly what it is when you hear it. Stay tuned. If you haven't already, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell so that you get notifications. The name is Chido. I'm your personal emotional intelligence detective, always keeping it real. See you next week.